Greetings. In this video I'm going to show you how to do some basic HTML text formatting. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so one of the things that I've done to kind of expedite the process in some of these videos is I've created a blank template file that has my doc type elements and then my opening and closing HTML tags and just the basic information that we need to actually create a blank HTML document. Now I've went ahead and put this into learning resources as well, so you can actually just go ahead and click on and download the blank template file and open it at your leisure. It'll kind of help speed up your process a little bit since you already have some practice in this area of creating blank documents. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with some text formatting. Now, before I get started with showing you the steps, it's important to know that in the future, as we progress further through the course, you're actually going to be using a different programming language called CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, to format the text in your pages. But you also need to know how to do it in HTML as well. So this is kind of the simple way, or the old school way, or whatever, if you will, of formatting text, where this week you'll go ahead and use the style in HTML to make changes to text. But in the future, once we introduce CSS, we're going to switch over to using CSS for all of our formatting. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can use different tags, or what are called formatting tags, to format text in HTML. And there are several that are common. For example, we can make text bold, we can make text small or big, we can make text italicized, we can do what's called pre-formatting text, where it looks kind of like what you would see with computer output, or basically where what I type in is what prints out in a standard font. It kind of looks like it would from an old school computer monitor, or maybe off a typewriter or something like that. And then we can do what's called subscript and superscript text, where subscript would put the text slightly below the text that surrounds it, and superscript would be text that is slightly above text that is around it. So let's go ahead and do some quick examples here. Let's go ahead and do some text that is bold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new paragraph. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste these paragraphs a few different times because I have several paragraphs that I need to make. And the first one, I'm just going to type in this text is bold. In the second paragraph, I'm going to type in the text is big, or this text is big. Third one, I'm going to type in this text is italic. And the fourth one, I'm going to type in this is computer output. And then the fifth one, I'm going to type in this is subscript and superscript. Alright, so to make text bold, you'll do what's called the B tag. B for bold. You'll stick the opening tag before the text you want to make bold, and then you'll want to do a /B or closing B tag after you're done making the text bold. Okay. Wherever you want to go back to normal sized or normal font weight text. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to call this HTML text formatting. And I'm going to go ahead and run it. Okay, and what you'll see is this first paragraph, the text is indeed bold. Okay. And I'm going to go back to Notepad. Now, the next element that I'm going to show you is called big. And this, again, this isn't something you'll use very often. Most of the time we're going to use CSS to format our text, but this is a tag that you can use in HTML5 to make text bigger than the text the next size up from the normal size text that you would see in your page. So again, that's the big tag. You take the starting big tag before the text you want to make big, and then a closing big tag after you're done with the text that you wanted to make big. And I'm going to go ahead and save and render this, and you'll see that this text is slightly bigger than the text that surrounds it. Okay. Your italic tag is EM, or emphatic or emphasize. And what that does is that makes your text italic. Now, you'll see where some people will actually use a tag called I for italics. And depending on the version of HTML in the browser, it will render. But the tag you want to use is called EM. Okay? And EM and I do the same thing, but EM is the one that's actually recognized is valid. Now, one of the things that you can do for computer output is this. You can just type in code. That's the name of the code tag. Again, just like all the other tags we've been using, you put the start tag before the text that you want to make look like computer output, and then a closing tag after you're done selecting the text that you wanted to display. And then finally, in this certain example here, we'll have subscript and superscript. So sub, to make something called to make a text subscript, you just do the sub tag, and remember to close out the sub tag after you're done with your subscript text. And then superscript, that's sup, S-U-P. Again, same rules as all the other tags we've been using. So this is what subscript text looks like, and this is what superscript text looks like. Last one that I want to show you is what's called pre-formatted text. And what pre-formatted text is this is text that is formatted exactly as you type it in an HTML. So in other words, instead of typing in something like this, where I put in this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, and in order to have these guys render properly with everything on different lines, I need to put in line breaks. Okay. Now, in HTML, without using pre-formatted text, this is what my paragraph would look like. Okay. Now with pre-formatted text, and I have to put in all kinds of code and stuff. Now with pre-formatted text, this is what it would look like here. Now, you probably won't use this one a whole lot, so we'll just use this one example here. But this is what pre-formatted text looks like. It is printed out exactly as I've typed this in. So when I go and render this, I should have similar output. There we go. That's better. So with pre-formatted text, anything after the opening pre-tag is printed out to the page, and then if I hit enter or if I hit enter or return, it's going to be printed out and rendered exactly as I type it. So for example, if I have 5 spaces here before this is line 2, when it renders you're going to see that 5 spaces have been added. Okay. So all it does is it strips out any kind of formatting and prints it exactly as you type it, with spaces, tabs, whatever. Okay. All right. So if we're looking at HTML text formatting, again, this is something that as you get further into the course, you're really not going to use a whole lot of this. You're actually going to use CSS for almost all of your formatting. But it is something that we need to know how to do. Another thing that you may want to look at is using strong text, and that's basically just like bold. I'm going to say this is strong text. I'm just typing in a new paragraph here, and you'll see what's called the strong tag, and this is basically the same thing as bold. So if you see that somebody if they're saying, oh, to create bold text in HTML, just type in the strong tag, this is what they're talking about. It's basically the same thing as bold. There's really no difference. And actually, depending on the version of HTML, the strong tag is preferred over B, but it doesn't really matter too much, especially since a little further in the course you won't be using all of this. But, like I said, it is something that's important to know. Alright, well that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video I'm going to talk to you about links. So we'll see you in a few.